Hello and welcome to World Read Aloud Day. This is a very special day that highlights the importance of reading aloud to our children. Why should we worry about reading aloud, especially when we're infants? They're so little. Are they paying attention? But actually, there is quite a bit of research and scientific study that proves the benefits of reading aloud, even to very tiny infants. So it is so important to read to your children from the moment they come home from the hospital, the moment of birth. So let's talk just a few minutes about what are the benefits. First of all, when we are reading aloud to our children, to infants, and even just speaking to them, it is creating those neurological connections and synapses. We're literally wiring their brains. So it is important for cognitive development. It is important for language and speech development, to where even though they are not actually speaking yet, the brain patterns to connect and recognize those are being formed. Also important is it's improving attention, memory. We are also looking at, especially for older children, when they get to where they can start to understand, is we're improving vocabulary. They're learning how things are pronounced. This is when their accents, if they have one, regional dialect and regional accents are going to get cemented early on. We're going to expose them to different, especially with fictional books, expose them to different worlds. So that there's the creativity aspects, especially if we have, talking animals and fantasy type things. And that's going to spark their own creativity and imagination of being able to place themselves into these other worlds. Additionally, it's helping their attention span because they are sitting there and listening, developing these listening skills, asking questions. You as a parent, you set the tone for this as far as making reading an experience. Not just read through the book, set it down and be done with it. Asking questions, getting your child's input. This is part of that parent adult child bonding. So all of these together are so important for development of our children. There's actually research, and this is several years old, but it was shown that children that are read to every day, and the recommendation is at least 15 minutes to read aloud, at least 15 minutes per day with your child, but that lifetime, they tend to earn $230,000 more in earnings than children who have not been read to. Now, I don't off the top of my head know the date of this study. It is several years back. So that figure may be increased by now. Even if it doesn't result in a penny extra earnings for your child, all of these other things are more than outweigh the benefits. That 15 minutes is such an important investment in your time with your child. So I'm going to take this time to read to you aloud my book, Modern Farms, and to give especially new parents who maybe are not as familiar about how to do this. Because let's face it, I remember when my child is now 23 years old, but when he first came home as an infant, and all the recommendations were to talk to your child throughout the day. I completely felt like an idiot talking to this baby who, let's face it, when they first come home from the hospital, all they do is eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom. But it's important. It is so important because as they become more and more aware, they're focusing in on you, and you are their whole world. And talking to them and in that way absolutely strengthens that adult child bond. But I'm going to give you an example of how to creatively read a book. So today, we're reading my book, Modern Farms. So we may start out with asking the child of, well, what do you see on the cover? And they say, oh, it's a cow, it's a little girl. And maybe we ask questions of, oh, it's a little girl on a farm book. Do you think that there are female farmers? And then have a discussion with that. They either say, yeah, no, and then go along with this. Or if we're talking about a cow, and oh, do you remember the time when we went to so and so and we got to pet the baby calf at the petting zoo? But don't just dive in and open the book, and because literally these children's pictures books, you can read them in just under 5 minutes. Let's make this a lasting, longing experience, and teach our children critical thinking skills of to ask questions and look a little bit deeper. So when we're starting out, of just look at the covers and ask some questions, see what your child thinks. Modern farms are pretty neat. They give us all enough to eat. So here we have a picture of a big field, and I apologize, I'm trying to doing this backwards is challenging, but we have this picture of a big field. What do you think that is that they're growing? Do you think that might be corn or maybe soybean? Maybe, do you think could be sugarcane? What do you think they're growing there? And here it is. We have a grocery cart with bags of food. What do we have in here? A milk carton? What's that? It's celery. Looks like celery to me. And here we have a big long piece of French bread. We've got some boxes and a bottle. What are your favorite things to get from the grocery store? So moving on. Using chemistry to make things grow, we no longer need to rake and hoe. So chemistry, do you know what the word chemistry is? Chemistry is the study of chemicals. And chemicals, you know what chemicals are? Chemicals make up everything around us. Chemicals make up you and me. So sometimes we see, and people make a chemical sound really scary, that chemicals are bad, but chemicals are everything. Water is chemical. Salt is a chemical. Everything that we do, my hair is a chemical. Everything is chemicals. So what do you think that the author meant using chemistry to make things grow? I think that maybe that means using fertilizer and maybe some pesticides to get rid of the unwanted. What do you think it means? What do you think's going on here? Huh? It To me it looks like they're applying some herbicide to in between the rows to keep the weeds from growing. Why do you think that we don't want weeds? Huh. So we have the hoeing. Don't you think it would be really, really hard to hoe these really, really big fields? So an acre, how big do you think an acre is? It's about the size of a football field. That's big. Can you imagine going out and having to hoe all of that? Dairy cows lie contently in cool sand all day, making milk for ice cream from corn silage and hay. Look at these dairy cows. This is what it looks like inside of a barn. These are called stanchions. So that it's basically like having seats, and each space is enough space for the cow, and they lie down there and they just chill. It's like you and I having our favorite reclining chair in the living room. This is where they just go and chill. And the sand, it makes them feel cool, because dairy cows, they get very, very hot, and they like to feel cool just like we do. So it just works really well for them. And silage. Do you know what silage is? Well, silage is chopped up corn and the corn plant. So they chop it all up, and it is fermented. And fermenting is just a way of preservation, just like pickles. Pickles are fermented cucumbers. So this is like pickles for cows, and they love it. But then they make milk. From this, we make ice cream. Do you know other things that we make out of milk? Maybe cheese and yogurt. What other things do you think we make out of milk? Farmers harvest fresh tomatoes, put them in a truck, send them off to supermarkets. Wow, are we in luck? Look at this. This machine is picking tomatoes. Isn't that neat? Look at all this technology of, how do you think? Did you know that they use machines to pick tomatoes? What did you think that they did? Or did you not even think about it, huh? And here we have, in the grocery store, we have tomatoes and peppers. Do you like tomatoes? Maybe you don't like tomatoes, but do you like ketchup? Ketchup is made from tomatoes. There's other things that, you like pizza, right? Pizza sauce is made from tomatoes. These are so cool. Some farmers plant large fields that stretch clear to the sky. They tend to them on big tractors with computers and Wi-Fi. Okay. Look at this GPS right here. And this is what it looks like looking out onto a field. Look at just miles and miles and miles of just nothing but field. Did you know that computers are in tractors these days? And that they use Wi-Fi to connect to satellites so they can have GPS? Oh, it is so cool, these modern. Chickens give us eggs that are brown or that are white, used in yummy baked goodies, much to our delight. Did you know that the color of the egg has nothing to do with its nutritional quality? All it is it is determined by the breed of chicken. Some chickens give white eggs, some chickens give brown eggs, some chickens give blue or even green eggs. It is amazing. And if you bake with your child, you could say, like, what are some of the things that we bake that we put eggs in? Maybe one of the things that I did with my son is we would make cookies, and I would let him help me mix it, help me drop it on, and definitely help me afterwards to eat it. So maybe ask about different things that we use eggs in, and could talk about that. Big combines harvest corn row after row. Corn feeds both people and animals, don't you know? So the corn is, once again, backwards, sorry. The corn, these combines harvest, and they harvest big, huge swaths. We could have, 8 row, 15 row. I mean, that is huge, some of these combines. And then they are harvesting. They take the corn ears, and we keep the kernels of corn. And corn is important for the feeding not only humans, but our livestock, our pets. Our dogs and cats use some of the products that come from corn. So, your favorite cereal in the bowl when you wake started as corn and sugar cane made into a flake. Everything, every meal we eat first came from a farm. And we often don't think about it. You might think about your your cornflakes, that, oh yeah, that's obviously corn. But then the sugar came from sugar cane, or sugar beets is another way that we get sugar. Bright, shiny strawberries growing in raised beds give us tasty fruit salad and milkshakes that are red. Maybe if you've been to a U-Pick strawberry patch, you could reminisce. Hey, do you remember the time we went and got strawberries, and then we came back and we made strawberry milkshakes or something like that? French fries with your burger started as simple spuds, so you could enjoy a fast meal with all of your best buds. Everything starts on the farm. French fries, fast food Happy Meal or whatever. We have the buns coming from grains made into bread. We have cheese that is made from milk. We've got obviously the hamburger that is made from cattle, and then our French fries are starting out as potatoes that grow underground. And you could ask them if they thought did they know that potatoes grew underground? Beef cows live in fields that are green, that really do sprawl, converting grass into juicy steaks for us one and for us all. So beef cows give us beef. And what are some of the beef items that are beef that we eat every day? Hamburgers, steak, maybe pot roast, Mississippi pot roast. Oh, that's so yummy. Maybe name off some of your family favorite recipes that are with beef. Farms come in all sorts of shapes and sizes to give us applesauce pies and other surprises. So farms are big, farms are small. We get apples. We don't often talk about a lot of times with farms, we always think about the farm animals or corn or, things like that, but we forget about fruits and vegetables. Whether they are big or small, farms grow the food for one and all. These are poultry houses, these big barns. This is where poultry, whether it could be broilers or it could be turkeys. And then this is a small farm that has goats. These are dairy goats. And all farms are significant. All farms grow food. And it doesn't matter whether they're big, big farms that go on for miles or just a tiny little farm. So remember, your food just doesn't come from a store. It first grew on a farm so that you could have more. And you could ask them about do we have grapes? We've got green apples. We've got red apples. We've got pumpkin, carrots, pig. And ask your child of, what are their favorite foods, and do any of this surprise them? So I hope that seeing me read this aloud and how to interact and make it more of an experience, asking questions, relaying back to maybe memories of things that you've done with your family, but doing more than just read straight through. And I've given you some examples and some ideas on how to read with your own children or grandchildren, nieces, nephews, any children, any adult reading with any child. Make it a fun experience. Make it a fun experience for them and you. You'll never regret the time that you spent reading with a child. So for that, I'm going to sign off now, and I hope that y'all tonight read with a child, read aloud. So have a great day. Bye-bye.